Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Good morning, good morning. Basta. Shit. Good morning. Good to be back on Long Island again, as you've heard. But it's an important topic, and we're getting right up to the end of the process. So one final effort is what today is all about. But first, to Ms. Edwards, let's give her a round of applause. Thank her for her leadership. Our great Laura Curran, let's give her a round of applause. Our great Steve Ballone, John Brooks, Kevin Thomas, Anna Kaplan, Todd Kaminsky, Jim Gorin, a little late, but he's here. To all our friends, Anthony Simon, Matty Arasich, to Jay Jacobs, to the local electeds who are here, thank you very much for being here. It is a beautiful day, and thank you for coming out on a Sunday. It's warming up. I believe spring is coming. I believe. With these extreme weather patterns, you never know, but I believe. Yesterday we were preparing for a snowstorm in upstate New York, but I believe today is a different day. You have to be an optimist if you're governor of New York. If you don't believe that tomorrow's going to be better, you don't get there. So I'm getting ready for spring. I was reading last night a book on the migratory pattern of striped bass. So I am getting ready. I am getting ready. One little thing we have to get done first is called the state budget. I was talking to one of my daughters this morning, who should go nameless, and she said, you know, what are you doing? I said, what am I doing? I'm still doing the budget. She said, you know, I don't understand why the budget takes so long. And she's now a financial expert because she graduated college. She's at a financial firm. She said, you know, it's just a budget. It's just an estimate. If it doesn't work, you change the budget. I said, no, it doesn't really work that way for the state. I wish it did. But the budget is not just the budget. The budget is really an action plan for the state that year. It's the main policies, the main priorities, the main actions that we're going to take. And you can't just change the numbers. And it's important. It's vitally important now because we have real problems. We have real issues. We have Washington that is attacking us every chance they get. Everything they're doing is an assault at New York. Everything. From their offshore drilling, where they want to drill for oil off the shore of Long Island, to their SALT property tax increase, to their middle class income tax increase. Everything is an assault on New York and what we believe. So this year, it is vitally, vitally important. And we have several priorities that we have to get done. We have to reform the MTA. It has to work better than it's working now. We have to have a fair funding solution. The Long Island Railroad has to work and perform better than it is working and performing today. And that's MTA reform, and we have to get that done in this budget, and we will with your help. We have to do criminal justice reform. You can't have a criminal justice system that says Lady Justice wears a blindfold and then say we have a cash bail system where it depends on your wealth whether or not you are released or whether or not you sit in jail. That is just fundamentally unfair. We have to address the issue of campaign finance reform because we're spending too much money on campaigns. People believe that their voice is not being heard. And we need to address that this year and make a real change. I believe in public finance as a system, and I believe it's time we move to public finance. And that's an issue that we have to deal with in the budget. There is some creative lessons that the state can learn Suffolk County, I hate to give him credit, but Steve Ballone, their plastic bag ban is working. Why don't we do that statewide? We need to make the Affordable Care Act the law of the land because we have to provide people with health care. And these are all issues for the budget. And then we have a very robust Long Island agenda that we laid out. I said to you last year when we were all running for office and telling you what we were going to do, I said we were going to have the most robust Long Island agenda the state has ever had, period. And that's what we have in this budget. It is the most aggressive, robust, generous plan for Long Island. Because first of all, Long Island needs the help. It has great potential. We have a lot to do. And the Long Island economy is just not about Long Island. I know the word island, we're an island. Nobody's an island. No man is an island. I heard that before, Jay. The Long Island economy is vital to the state of New York. You are an economic engine for the entire state. So our first thrust, once again, is focus on the economy, keep that economy running. In this budget, we have $100 million to continue transformative economic development projects. I believe Long Island can be the next research triangle. You look at all the academic universities, you have the research universities, you see that R&D being commercialized. We want to keep that going with a $100 million investment. Nassau Hub, Ronkonkoma Hub, the Belmont Plan, they are transformative. And they can make a major difference, and we want to have them funded in this plan. We want to have an aggressive road and bridge and an aggressive Long Island Railroad investment plan. That second and third track on the Long Island Railroad, thank you, Anthony Simon, is going to revolutionize it. We want to rebuild 39 stations on the Long Island Railroad, and we want to get that funded in the budget. We need new water infrastructure, and it may not be sexy, but it is sound. We need a new sewer system. Steve Ballone is exactly right, and we want to invest in the county of Suffolk's infrastructure, water, and sewer plan, and that's in the budget. We support, and I applaud Laura Curran for taking on the issue of property taxes. You know, in politics, politicians love to duck the tough issues. Why? Because the tough issues are tough because there was no easy answer. It's a little controversial. And that's why the tough ones are tough ones. They just sit and they continue forever. We've been talking about this property tax issue forever. And the same song over and over, but we haven't fixed it. Laura Curran said, I'm going to do something different. I'm going to step up to the plate. I'm actually going to fix it and resolve it. And yes, it's not easy, but you don't elect a true statesperson because they take on the easy ones. It's because they take on the hard ones. And that's how you judge a person. She has asked us to help by adding a state law that would allow the taxpayer protection plan to go to 5 years, and we're going to do that, and that's in the budget, and we want to get that passed for Nassau County. And talk about taking on the hard ones. We're going to make the MTA actually expedite and complete a project called East Side Access, which East Side Access was started by Mayor Lindsay and Governor Nelson Rockefeller. They started it. Maybe they started it, but I'm going to finish it, and we're going to make sure the MTA finishes it now. We have in this budget the most aggressive offshore wind power program ever done for off the shores of Long Island. We have our shellfish restoration program. We want to restore AIM for the local governments because it is important, and that's in this budget. Mayor Murray. More education funding from the state of New York for Long Island schools, the highest number of education funding in history. And two essential priorities, especially given what Washington is doing. First, we have to continue to cut taxes for the middle class. The middle class is the class that is under duress. The federal tax plan took care of the rich, cast the burden on states like New York, and did nothing for the middle class. We have cut taxes every year that I have been governor. Every tax rate is lower today than the day I became governor of the state of New York. Every tax rate. But we want to continue to cut taxes for the middle class. In this budget, we cut taxes for the middle class from 6.8 to 5.5 for people making up to $150,000. For people making up to $300,000, 6.8 to 6%. So we say to the middle class, we hear you, we know your pain, we know you're struggling, and New York State is going to do another tax cut. And on top of that, the property tax cap is essential. And the property tax cap is the largest tax in the state of New York. Property taxes are 2.5 times state income tax. By far and away, the largest tax a person pays is the property tax. And property taxes, as Ms. Edwards said, we're going up 6, 7, 8% every year, year after year after year. And we were literally taxing people right out of their homes. I can't tell you how many people said to me, my property taxes are higher than the mortgage. When you're old like me, the mortgage was the problem buying a house. Now, you can afford the mortgage, you can't afford the property taxes. And to go up 6, 7, 8% a year, what goes up 6, 7, 8% a year? My income's not going up, my bank account's not going up, my house is not appreciating 6 or 7% a year. How can you keep raising the property taxes? And that's what we did year after year after year. And people said, well, it has to be this way. We have to do it. And we said, why do we have to do it? Why can't government live with the same restraints that the taxpayers are living with? Why not? Why can't they have the same fiscal pressure that families have? And then that's the tax cap, 2% a year. You can live with 2% a year because, by the way, it's the cost of living adjustment that families are living with year to year. And we passed it. And you know what? The world is still spinning. Government is still functioning. We wound up finding ways to make the budget work and still do all the good work that we're doing. $25,000 saved by the Edwards family. Do I get a Christmas gift or anything? No, nothing. 22 kids get it. $25,000 saved already. Close to $9 billion, $8.7 billion saved just on Long Island, $25 billion saved by taxpayers all across the state. And frankly, they're getting better government service because more money didn't always mean better service. If you listen to the regular bureaucracy, more money, more money, more money is always the answer. More money, more money, more money. No. Just because you put more money into something doesn't mean you're going to get a better product. management, efficiencies, attention. That's how you get a better product. You're getting a better product out of Nassau County government today than you've gotten before. You're getting a better product out of Suffolk County today, better than before. Not because they're buying it, it's because they're managing the government. So we know we can do it, we know we can save money, and we must now, because you have the federal government that just passed a tax bill that is an arrow at the heart of New Yorkers. When they passed that tax bill that ended deductibility of state and local taxes, it said your property taxes are now going to be taxed by the federal government. So if you pay $20,000 in property taxes, before you deducted it from your federal income tax, now you pay federal income tax on it. So the feds are raising your property taxes. It's more important than ever before that we make sure they're capped. And saying it is a permanent tax cap says to people, feel confident, feel secure. Your property taxes are not going to go up on the state side. We hear you, we're committed to it, and that tax cap is permanent. I have said that it is a top priority, line in the sand, call it whatever you want, but I said this hand will never sign a budget that does not have a permanent tax cap, period. But it's not going to come to this. You know why? I'm never going to get a budget that doesn't have a permanent property tax cap. Do you know why? Because the state Senate is never going to pass a budget that doesn't have a permanent property tax cap. Do you know why? Because there are senators from Long Island who are going to stand up for the Long Island taxpayer. And they are going to say, we will never pass a budget without a permanent property tax cap, because Jim Gorin is going to say it, and Todd Kaminsky is going to say it, and Anna Kaplan is going to say it, and Kevin Thomas, and John Brooks, and Monica Martinez is going to say it. And it will not pass without them. They were elected to serve Long Islanders, and they're going to stand up for Long Island taxpayers in this budget. Thank you.
Please welcome Senator Anna Kaplan.